Hi dear, I just thought we should have a little chat. And I've been thinking about some of the questions I've received about egregores and if you should join an occult group or a coven or whatever. And or a church or a mosque or it slipped my mind. A temple or any kind. There are good occult groups that are genuine. That I've always met that there are people there, sometimes the leaders, that you might have one good teacher there and the rest just repeat like sheep what they have, and they share these experiences, or actually they don't even share the experiences, they just say so they seem to fit in. And that leads to the topic of that is in spirituality and all kinds of religion as well, and that is mass hypnosis, and can group visualization lead to mass hypnosis in a way that you meditate and you visualize the same thing and you have the same response and you trust the leader and you feel that it is real. And I don't visualize, I trust what comes before me and what I feel, what I think, what I hear, what I smell. And sometimes I looked at people and they just repeat, they want so badly to be accepted by the group, so they are following along, and that leaves a lot of people who are left out, since they might hear something audibly and they can't visualize, or they might smell a bad smell and they say there is an angel and they smell something rotten. And if they say that they feel that there's a rotten smell and that it's not angelical, if they say it out loud, they are ostracized. And then there's also that thing that I don't know if it's all around the world, but there are many so-called Masonic groups and other occult groups that they take the name, since the name isn't copyrighted, let's say the Masons or Golden Dawn. I don't know if Golden Dawn has a copyright, or the Templars and so on, and they use the same mark and recite the same books, but they don't belong to the first real, and they are not accepted by the real occult groups. So that is a warning sign that you should check out online. And I know that for Freemasons you should check with Scotland. And if you don't have them, if you don't appear on their homepage that they are accepted, then it's like that. And I know that the Saint Madre or Tines has a lodge in Stockholm, but they don't have any lodges anywhere else in Sweden. But as I'm a farm girl, and in the summers as I was a young teenager, I worked on a farm of a rich landowner who was a real Templar, and he had nothing to do with those in Stockholm. They inherited the land. It's from a stretch from Alingsås to Skara, where all the Templars owned the land, and they weren't burned. So there is a lot of that history that everybody was burnt to heresy, and no. Some were burnt at stake, but it was usually about money and corruption more than about anything. And I know that by Swedish and Scandinavian and Finnish mythology that the witches were burnt and all that. It don't really go well, that either. Finland was Catholic and Orthodox, and they fought between themselves. Then Protestantism came, and that's when the witch burnings and Inquisition started over there. And but then you had also these big parts from where my grandmother on my mother's side and her mother and grandmother. The first time there was a church in that area of Finland, in the Karjala or Karelia, I think it's called, and these Russian borders and everything there. Since it's colder than Siberia, so there weren't any priests going out there, and there is hardly anyone living there, so they didn't even look for people. So Christianity was introduced in those areas 1860 for the first time. And my grandmother wasn't baptized, no, on my mother's side, and nor her great-grandmother, and not my aunt. When you moved, and you just said they didn't have computers back then, so they moved. So there was a pure line of people who never, well, they went into church when it suited them. When they moved into town, they wanted to be accepted and so on, and it's an easy act to play. So, and then in many cases here in Sweden, as it's been, it's funny that you can open up a grave from 16th, 17th century, and they are still buried with Viking symbolism and Thor's hammer and all that. So it was parallel all the time, the pagan religion and Christianity. So they did get baptized or in the church, but they practiced what they practiced at home. And then it came down that most of the things that were, when people were burnt, it was not really a court of inquisitors and from the church. It was more in the common law, or how what is this name for that? They people accused their neighbors of various things, and that didn't even reach the church. So that was just a judge sitting there and people accusing each other, and then there was the drama. You got famous. It's just like now today, when people try to get these reactions, they want to shock people and get the attention that I'm so powerful, look what I can do, and create that image that people fear and to be gossiped about. And it was just like that back then as well. So people hasn't changed. It's just only that we have internet now, and everybody can gossip about, and it's that whispering game when one thing starts with one thing and then it rolls up to something else. So in history about here, the Catholic Church didn't do so much of the burnings. It was all these, just like you can see now, where some branch of the evangelical Christians, they are huge doing exorcisms and laying on hands or whatever they are doing, but they are sects or cults as I see them. They pray for each other, they live in the same small village or in the same building, and they hate other Christians, so I don't know what they really are. And they chase demons up to the right and left and everywhere, and there is nothing really. They are a small little herd somewhere, and they spread hate. And what's been disgusting is how they treat sometimes people from different faiths, like laughing when somebody's dead from a different country, and there are a lot of those things going on that I can't see myself with. As far as this goes for Christ, I believe that I got a very simple theory, and that if I look at God as the king and Mary as the queen and Christ as his son, so that is, I haven't met him, but I know one thing, that the angels, more through the angels, that he is not messianic little kind loving New Age thing. When he comes, he's God's son and he has the power. So he's not to be treated like that. I can pray for him today and tomorrow I take that and then I go back to Christ and go to other that, and I don't believe in that at all. When I was small I had this dream about how the dragons bowed down to him. And I tried to ask the angels and they show such a respect for him. So I know that Mary is called Queen of the Angels and Queen of the Heavens and Queen of Nightmares as well. And I got a feeling of that Christ is if there is whatever is happening and whatever it is, I don't think he is so forgiving that anything goes. That's something I don't believe in. He expects you to work. He can save you, but you also expect him to work. And one more thing that was interesting in the questions, since Mary, when Christ died, she returned to Judaism. Christ was a Jew and Mary was a Jew. So they weren't Christians, they were actually they were Jews who created this new philosophy, a way of doing things, and then the Catholic and Orthodox Church, they were united at that time. To get a religion to be accepted as a religion, they had to prove to Rome that they had the power of the age, the hundreds of years of worship, otherwise it couldn't be a religion. So they adopted Judaism, and that's why I'm a classical theist. I don't really care whatever they are. After Aquinas and so on, I lost interest in philosophy, since a human can't be God. So, and you can't do a lot of things and become holy. That is something that is either granted upon you or not. So you can't buy your way into heaven. You can't do deeds with the evil intent and make your way. It's fate and living humbly more and trying your best. Honesty is the best thing, at least. And then I found out I had a problem when I read out the manuscript last time when I should say Hail Mary. I noticed that in myself, since I only pray to God. I felt like a blasphemous jerk. I don't have a relationship with her. My whole life I've struggled with the Divine Feminine. So my father's mother, my grandmother on the good side, she loved me, but she died when I was 6. So that was the last time a female held me in her arms and told me she loved me. So there is that great... I don't understand Mary, and I can't see the following, since I can only see the dark feminine side. I can't understand the light part of it, and I guess that is what I have to do and learn, is to... I met people who are wonderful, who have a faith in Mary. But I sometimes think that there's been a New Age thing where they only pray to Mary and forget about God and Christ and everything else. And that's also something that I find a little bit difficult, since the power is in what is written, what's being practiced, what's being believed. And in magic you say that you copy the exact words of a magician that lived 100 years. I do that. But then I also write my own and compromise my own according to what I'm instructed to by Michael, Uriel, or some of the others. But But when you are combining those with the prayers that are used in specific circumstances like funerals, death, grief, war, all those cries for help, they've been by millions and millions and millions of people. So they got their own power. So I believe that when you join them together, and that is something you should do in whatever way you practice, try out and mold, see what kickstarts your heart. Where does the flame within start to burn with love and fire and the passion? And this is just some small little thoughts I have, and there are so many books about exactly what correspondences you need for this and that to get that to manifest, and exactly that hour. And yes, I know the planetary hours. I know when the moon is waxing and waning and so on. And sometimes I don't give a shit. I just do it whenever I'm called to do it. And that is usually when Vevalia or Mihael or Uriel or somebody says, get off your ass and start praying. And this is what you should pray for. And that's when I don't have a written prayer in those moments when I'm woken up in the middle of the night. I flick on the news and I see that, and the prayer comes from the news, and I create my own. And that's the spontaneous connection to the angels, that you go forward and ask for this, since whatever you speak out, that's what that's the core of magic. Speak out the truth, and what's aligned with it and become the whole prayer. It's just like that you vibrate from within, and I get always fired up. So I'm off like old brimstone burning, I don't know what. And there is that passion that goes up, and there's the energy, and that comes. I can watch the news and completely flick off that now we have an audience, and then it goes straight away. Without even remembering Tin Woke Angel, they can come and go, but that is just that is that instant, and then I start doing a ritual for that area for a longer period of time, and that's when I cool down and start to think. But my instant gut reaction, that's what I follow. And then there's been this interesting visit I had a month ago. Molek. I didn't even get startled. I just looked at him and he looked at me. And there's the heavy feeling. I get like a ice cold feel. All the blood goes down to my stomach, and you get this cold, heavy feel in the stomach and demonic presence. And he came in gentle, so I thought, what on earth? But I don't discuss with the demons. So I don't ask him, I just looked at him, and he looked at me. Then he nodded to me like that, and off he went. And since my tarot cards are dedicated to the angels, so I don't ask for demonic answers from my tarot cards. So that means that I don't communicate, I just looked at him, and then I went to sleep. And so sometimes these surprises can come, and what is one important thing is that all of these higher, they come and go as they please. That's why you should have a daily ritual connecting to your angels. And sometimes you get so startled, and sometimes you can freak out. And sometimes you just know again why. I'm not interested, go away. So sometimes it goes like the different layers, and I can't guarantee that I'm 100% good at this or that. That depends on am I sad? When I'm angry, that's when the demons love me. So there is always that balance, and that's why I do my work with angels every day, since I can't let myself turn into anger and hate, because I know what harm that would do. So that is one of the things that I think that many in the magic society don't talk about, that you are completely responsible for all your actions. And that's why I always try to beg everybody to start with the angels. They don't even let you near until you are ready. They will stop every time you try. And they won't help you either. So if you are going above your head claiming to have power without having power, that's when you are there alone. So once you get the teaching angel, they can say no, yes, you are not ready yet, and they show you something else you can do, but they protect you very fiercely. And they don't want you any harm, but you should always listen to them. So these all horrible shootings and axe murders and all this crazy shit that goes on, that happens every day all around the world. And that's just because people give in to anger and hate and bitterness and feel victimhood and act like the accusers for things that are nothing really. They have food, they have clothes, they can survive, they have clean water to drink. That's what you need, and shelter. You don't need anything else. So don't come to me and talk about that you are bitter about not having something, when there are people without food, clothes, medicine, and animals suffering, locked up in barns. And the homeless. Not all homeless are addicted on drugs or booze or living off taxes. There are homeless living in the forest who are eating bark from the trees. And they always are happy when I bring them some water to drink, since the water is polluted out here. So don't ever look upon somebody else and judge them. It can be you. You don't know what happened to the person. There are so many instances when somebody's been badly abused, witnessed a horrible crime, and they run out to the forest or somewhere to hide in fear, and they can never trace their way back into society again. Since people are so judgmental of how you should act and how you should be perceived. And love yourself as thy neighbor. So instead of thinking that can be a dangerous criminal and he might kill me or something, ask, do you need water? Do you need food? Ask, look into the eyes, see what does your heart say. And if he is a crazy criminal, then he is, and then it was time to say goodbye to this world. That world is a dangerous place. We can go any second. There is no reason to be fearful of that or fear to help people just because something might happen. Things happen, and we are created equal, and all of us will die one day. So whether it's an apocalypse or judgment day, as some wants to predict and want it that way, or personal death and personal apocalypse in the soul, that's something, maybe we see it, maybe we don't. So whatever it is, try to connect with the spirits or angels and search for God. Unless you're searching for God, there is a lot of false angels out there. And I've been duped in my youth. And when it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So that goes for angels as well. there are many shapeshifters. And many of those who preach the light, they are nothing more than complete darkness, pretending to be light. And that's why I say that don't trust humans, trust yourself and trust your angels. And when you connect it to your holy guardian angel, that's where. And if it is Christ or the Blessed Virgin, God, but all I know about God is what the angels teach me, and they teach me everything in 8 different ways at least. Each psalm has different meanings depending on which angel I ask. So he has so many layers that I can't even start to understand the slightest. But I know that he's the creator, and I believe that there is this one power that created everything beneath it. So that's my stability, my faith, is that there is something so much bigger than deities. And since I like the Jewish way of saying that the angels represent an aspect of God, and the angels of the 22 letter name, when you read the complete Psalm 119, that is a powerful way of also connecting. That is not seen as magic, but it's a way for you to connect, to start to feel the rise. When you recite the whole psalm and you connect, you can feel, and when you think of the Hebrew letters, and I will try to link in that video in here in this if I can find it. But I have done it and it's on my playlist somewhere. But there is so much power in this moment right now. Whether you are in the dark and coming to the light, or light going into dark, life is like that. We all learn from the contrast of life, not by only staying in one lane, since we have to learn. And how can we learn if we don't make mistakes? So that was all for now, and have a magical day. And let's see if I can get the angelical choirs done. So I'm still thinking about doing that, but it is Michael who wants me to put in an extra video here and there. So, and ask me any questions you like. I'm so happy to answer. I'm blessed to have you all here. Bye for now.